You're listening to SEEK Bytes, a podcast by software engineers for software engineers. Today's episode talks about falsehoods junior developers believe about becoming senior. This is an article by Vadim Kravensko that talks about misconceptions such as having all the answers, working with the latest tech, and seniors not having boring tasks. All right, here we go. We're in for another episode of SEEK Bytes with perhaps maybe a little bit more of an echoey room. We'll see how this turns out in post, hey? We got myself, Will. We got Raf to my left.
Hello.
And we got Elliott to my right and front. I don't know.
Right, front and center.
Something like that, yeah.
Something like that.
Star of the show. Today's episode, we are talking about falsehoods junior developers believe about becoming senior. Now, I thought this was a topical episode because SEEK, we've recently we've got a new campaign out with Mythbusters, with Jamie Heineman from Mythbusters and someone from YouTube. I thought this was very topical because we could bust some myths that perhaps junior developers have and kind of give our own insights. What do you guys think?
I think that's great. I mean, there's one I'd love to throw out there straight away. Like the title senior developer means nothing at the end of the day. It could mean so many different things. So if you're like, oh, I'm a senior developer, and you're like,
you have grey hairs and you're a staff engineer, you have a staff now? What?
Yeah, like it's I think as a junior you see, oh, senior dev. Once they're senior, they've made it. It's like, no, the title is meaningless.
Yes. I think that's exactly what this kind of touches on. So let's start with the first little topic. So essentially, I think there's maybe 5 or 6 different prompts that I'm going to give you guys, and then you guys can just bust them or unbust them. I don't know. We'll see what you think. The first one, expectation. I will be able to solve all the bugs and know what's wrong in a matter of minutes. That's an expectation a junior developer might have for a senior developer.
Am I meant to be able to do that now?
Well, that's what perhaps a junior developer might think. And I'm curious, did you think perhaps that might be the case? When you get to senior, you can solve all the answers. When you were, a junior developer.
Do you ever feel like you're always a junior? Like, no matter how much you learn, you still know nothing. The more I learn, the more I know. Not the more I think, the more I know nothing, right? There is just too much to know. And I think there's a really great scale to it. When you first start developing, you build your confidence over kind of the first 3 years, and you think, I know so much, and then you hit like this 3-year cliff, and then suddenly you realize I know nothing because the tech space is so huge. I definitely have had that misconception in the past. I mean, I still have that about the people who are above me now, like your staff engineers, senior staff engineers, even other seniors. They're like, oh no, that senior, he or she, they know their stuff.
Raf, what do you think?
I completely agree. So coming from a lens from when I was a junior, first started on a job, I paired with a senior engineer, and he was a gun. And I was just amazed at how quickly he can go through the code and found the bug that I put in.
That you put in like on purpose? Just
yeah. It's a plan. It's a test. To test if he's really senior. No, not quite. It's just a stupid mistake.
Yeah, same here. I feel like you definitely have those developers who perhaps you were pairing with when you were junior really is just like a really gun developer. But regardless, I feel like the more you progress in the career, the more you realize there's so much more to learn. I'm not saying that the title is meaningless. I certainly feel like there are more expectations and different tasks that you're doing as a senior, but it's definitely not like you're a senior and you know everything now.
I think it also largely depends on the company that you're in. If you're in a very small company, startup kind of size, like anywhere between 2 and 10 developers, if you join, even if the other developers who are there before you are not seniors per se, the domain knowledge and the knowledge of the systems that already exist will obviously far exceed your own because they've been there, right? Anytime you join a new team or you join a new organization, I think you can have that feel of, oh, I know nothing, especially if you're changing tech stacks.
Just to add on top of the domain knowledge as well, I feel that the tech stack, as you gain more experience, you kind of notice things that could go wrong and you straight away know where to look. Like, what is that error? Why is that redlining? What's this big, massive error? Where should I look first?
Yes, and I wanted to pull this. I think this article really summarizes what you both have just said. Your expertise isn't measured by the knowledge you possess, but your ability to, one, work with uncertainty, two, ask the right questions to get where you need to get in terms of understanding, and three, knowing how to find a solution once you have the understanding. And I think that really is a key in what a senior and a junior is. When you're junior, everything's uncertain and you don't know how to find the answers. When you're a bit more senior, you get more comfortable in that uncertainty and you kind of know where to look when you need it, when you have no idea what you're kind of looking for.
I think what you just said really summarizes for me the difference between a senior and a junior and that misconception. And it's not about knowing things. It's not the senior knows more things. It's being comfortable not knowing things and then knowing how to figure things out. So having the patterns of recognition for debugging or for sleuthing or for Googling or whatever it might be, I think those are what actually make the senior a senior. It's not, oh, they know all the systems, because we forget things all the time, right? But you're not going to forget, kind of like riding a bike, you're not going to forget the patterns of trying to figure things out. If a senior is really good, you should be able to pick them up and drop them in an entirely new domain, and they will get up to speed much, much, much quicker than a junior would.
Yeah, I agree. I'll move on to the next one. This one is, the expectation is, as a senior, I'll get to play with the latest tech and build amazing projects. What are your thoughts, Raf? What are your thoughts first?
Not true.
Where did that idea come from? It's so company dependent, domain specific, and team dependent that seniority has nothing to do with it at all, really. You can do that anytime. You don't need a level of seniority to be able to be like, oh, I want to try out the latest X, Y, and Z technology. You just need to be in a place where they will support you to do that. That's
right. We certainly don't have all of our juniors working on legacy code and all our seniors working on the greenfield new stuff. It's in fact, it's often the other way around with the seniors working on things that are old and things that need more care taken, and perhaps a junior working on some of the smaller stuff, or even something a bit newer, which you can kind of be a little bit more risky with.
Well, with greenfield, right? That's the perfect example where kind of got more wiggle room as a junior. There aren't necessarily all those patterns in place. The benefit being, if you're not restricted by an existing code base and an existing domain, whether it's with tech debt or otherwise, I think the legacy code is a really good way to phrase it. Whoever's already there and has the domain knowledge of that code, they're probably going to be better at dealing with those things.
Exactly. I mean, it makes sense, right? You become an expert at that domain, and why would you, well, depends on where you work as well. Are you willing to experiment? Are you willing to try a new tech stack? Once you get good at this certain legacy code, you probably be the go-to person, I suppose, to maintain those kind of things. And, why would you invest on something new?
So it's kind of about being the subject matter expert then. It's not to do with the level of seniority. It's just, if you come in as a junior, you don't know who's already an SME on a topic. And so it may come off as all seniors are SMEs, or when I'm senior, I'll finally be an SME of something.
Yeah, I think this, just summarizing that, I think this article kind of ends it with, it's not as fun as it sounds, but that's the reality. Most of the software nowadays are legacy applications that require refactoring, which won't be approved anytime soon. So you'll have to patch it up and work with what you have. I wouldn't say I agree with that sentiment completely. We have actually quite a lot of new sort of, I wouldn't say everything we have is a legacy. Well, maybe we have code that's maybe a couple of years old, 5.
At what point does something become legacy? What defines it?
Well, I mean, you want to be able to move fast, right? And you want a group of developers or engineers in your company who know the tech stack. So a lot of us know TypeScript. I wish Seamus is here right now, because we work together on a team that we use Scala, and there was not a lot of Scala people around. There's not a lot of support. And if you look around in our company right now, everyone knows JavaScript, TypeScript. Like it's just that easy to mobility as well. Like you can rotate around teams and your tech stacks are common. It's easy to jump in and then work on your next task.
Yeah, a quick definition. Well, there were a couple of definitions, but the one I liked was legacy code usually refers to an application source code that has reached or crossed an end of support cycle.
That definitely is a good definition of legacy, something that's reached end of life. Or maybe it's just reached the point of where we don't want to touch it because we don't want to maintain it anymore.
Next one. This one's a fun one. Expectation. Being senior means they can avoid all the boring tasks. Do you find every single task you do nowadays fun, not boring?
I'm a weird one. I love documentation.
Oh, yeah.
I love it because I just love being able to communicate to others, and I love how it scales. So not just README, document in code. So if your code's very nice and nicely laid out, the way you communicate that code to the next person. I just imagine myself coming into the code base and see what would I like to see and, what could be better. The Boy Scout rule, right? Anyone know about that? So leave the place better than you found it.
Campsite rules, the way I phrase it. Always leave the campsite in a better condition than you found it, equal or better. So never leaving it worse. People always talk about loving documentation, but not necessarily liking to do it. Documentation is definitely a good one. I do think the more senior you get, the less actual coding you get to do. Like you end up doing more boring things, because to me, I end up in way more meetings than I did as a junior. I rarely had to go to meetings. Now I'm like, I have so many meetings because there's so many more stakeholders to talk to the higher up you get. I'd argue it's the complete opposite. Like the more senior you get, the more boring stuff you have to do.
I think what you find boring is very subjective. Like you want to get to a point where you become an EM or something like that, and your job really is just meetings and communication and all that stuff. But that might not be boring for you. Like I feel like you getting senior is also you finding the path you want to take, whether it's the more people side, the more tech side.
EM stands for
engineering manager. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, we should mention
just our internal language kind of thing.
That's right.
Yeah, so how we do it here is we have, at SEEK, we have a really nice split. Once you go above senior engineer, you then have the choice of becoming a staff engineer, which is what we call the individual contributor path, or you can go down the lead engineer path, which is people management. Once you hit senior, you then have the choice of, do I want to go down the people management side or do I want to go down the individual contributor side? And sometimes, what will happen is the more senior you get, you kind of have to take on people management to progress to those higher tiers, which not everyone wants to do and it's not in everyone's skill set. And I think mandating that a senior, in order to progress in their career, has to have line management isn't necessarily a good thing.
Yep. That's where bad managers come from, I reckon, because you're just not prepared for it and you don't know how to manage people. You're very good at your job and technically, but maybe people side, you're just a bit lacking. I like to also share, going back onto the boring task.
Yeah, please.
Something that's happening today, right now, is, on my day one at SEEK, my first task, I'm pretty sure it was my first task, but I had to update AWS tags. So for those who don't know, it's just a bunch of key value pairs attached to your resources, just so we know what kind of, what resources we have at SEEK and who owns them, etc. Guess what? I'm doing that today, and it's been years, so it's a job that I like. And to me, it takes like 2 seconds.
Yeah, wrapping this little bit off, embracing the full spectrum of your role, including the boring part, you'll find that this can become the most fulfilling part of your work, filled with opportunities for impact and growth, which I think works. Because meetings are boring, but it also means you can find alignment. And code reviews can be boring, but it also means people are shipping things.
No, I love code reviews. They're the best.
Oh, yes.
Giving and receiving code reviews are great. It's the best chance to learn, or one of the best opportunities to learn. Because I don't care who's reviewing my code. I want everyone to have a chance, regardless if you're junior, senior, any any level, because I'm a firm believer that everyone has a valid opinion because everyone has a different background, a different way of thinking. So I love code reviews. I really strongly disagree with the premise that code reviews are boring.
That's a very good topic, and we should get into that, I reckon. We have a graduate join us recently, and one of my goals for her is to leave PR reviews, pull request reviews, for anything. And on the premise of, I said, I don't care how junior you are, I really want you to even just ask questions like, what does this line of code do?
Why did you write it that way? Maybe you say, I did it this way because X, Y, and Z, and it's like, actually, that's not the best way to do that. So in asking the question why, I think it's just an awesome opportunity.
Another thing to add to our How Do You Learn episode as well, I think, by teaching is one of them. So
I like it.
Did you know, fun fact, that the older sibling tend to have a higher IQ because they teach their younger siblings, and by teaching them, they kind of cemented the ideas in their minds, and being able to teach that concept, it just makes them, it's very interesting. I heard it on a podcast as well.
Very cool. And now you've heard it on this one. Next one. The expectation. Has a million ideas on how to change this company 180 degrees. Let's improve everything. So the expectation is that senior engineers can make big changes in a company. Or because you're senior, you can say, well, this tech stack isn't working. Let's change it all around.
The idea that once you get to senior, you can then throw your weight around, by the sounds of it. I disagree with that premise. Mm-hmm. And maybe you can, but I'd argue that if you're in an organization where that is how things are being done, that's probably not a great way to get things done.
Yeah, also the idea of, I guess, senior engineers having more ideas on ways we can improve things. Sometimes that's not always the case. Perhaps a senior really likes just picking up a ticket and just like really smashing through something that's, they're not always the game changes as something. It just means perhaps they're more comfortable, like we said, working in unknown spaces, but it doesn't mean they have to have a million ideas of ways to always kind of like make big changes and breakthroughs and stuff like that. That's never an expectation of a senior engineer.
Is this point saying that as you become more seniors, you have more ideas of how to improve the system, but it's never going to change because of management pushing you back? Is that what this thing's saying? That feels a bit funny to me. I mean, as you grow and become senior or whatever level you are, you kind of need to know why things are done certain ways and know the pros and cons. And I mean, sure, you have a good idea to make this thing super amazing, awesome. Everyone loves to work on it, whatever, right? I mean, but maybe we didn't do it this way because, I don't know, cost maybe? Like we could, there's a lot of things. It depends.
Yeah, that's so domain specific.
Just kind of skimming over what's here. I think the idea is that when you're a junior, and I certainly felt this, when you're a junior and you're just kind of getting started, you see all these things and you're learning about, the best ways to work, and you see in code ways that might be older. For you as a junior, you're like, this could be better. This could be better. It's that like learning curve of how much you think you know compared to how much you really know and all that stuff. So when you're junior, you kind of see these things and you want to make these changes. You're like, the system should be this way because I've read that that's the best way to do it. And you think you can you feel like when you're more senior, you'll have more push with that, which isn't really the case. I think really the way of doing that is communicating your ideas, showing benefits, pros, cons. That's something you get better at when you become senior. But it's certainly something, no matter what level you are, like if you want something changed, you have to make a case for it. And it has to be something that other people can see the value in that to make a change, regardless of what seniority.
I think at SEEK we actually do this really, really well with the grad program. So one of the things we do with our grad program, which Scott Dan, one of the big people behind the grad program, and he was on a handful of podcasts ago, and he spoke about it really well, which is that we give the grads a boot camp, and in that boot camp, we try to drill in best practices, and we want the grads to feel like they can go up to a senior and be like, that's not the best way to do this. And I think that is absolutely the way every engineer/developer should be doing things. Like if you've found a better way of doing it or come up with a better way, you should absolutely feel like you can make an impact on your team. And if you're in a good supportive environment, the seniors or the other people on your team, regardless of their rank, will want to engage with that.
Yeah, I think rounding that out, change requires time, and it also needs good communication. So it's not a senior thing, it's not a junior thing. It's just big changes take time.
I think it also comes down to a culture of trust and understanding. And much like Ted Lasso, you want people to feel appreciated and validated so that they feel like they can share their ideas.
All right, moving on to the next one. This one's fun. The expectation. Once I become a senior, I will have more time to relax. Or expectation, I'll make sure to have a perfect work-life balance once I'm a senior.
Oh gosh.
Do you feel like you have, or do you think you will have perfect work-life balance when you reach your next role, next level?
I feel like ever since I've started, I've had a very good work-life balance. Well, maybe COVID helped, but we'll see. This is one good thing about COVID, by the way. Everything else sucks. But when I joined, COVID hasn't hit yet. It took a month after I've joined, and COVID hit, and we went remote. Mm-hmm. But I had a young child back then, a young baby, and I did not miss any good moments. I saw her first step. I saw everything. It was amazing. With our team, we've just decided our goals really early, and it's not too much on us. They're aware of what our team can achieve at that sprint, and we're not overburdened. I guess that's the word I'm trying to look for. And as a junior, when I first joined, I probably set a bit high expectation, but not too high. So I tried to kind of shut off at a certain time and agree with my team of my work time, because I'm a very early starter and early finish. I'm dead by 4 p.m. And the team understands that, and if I work extra, that's on me. So I think it depends on you as well. Sure, you may be very close to solving a problem, a bug that's really annoying you, and you just want to, you just gotta go and take a walk, and then come back and have a little break.
There are definitely periods in my career where I was massively overworking. I was a senior at the time, and I was working burnout levels, right? So becoming a senior and then being like, and now I can take it easy. It's like, well, if you've been working at burnout capacity, for a long time, and you're trying to do that to get to senior, that's really not sustainable. I think one of the things that COVID really taught us is that mental health is really, really important. Good companies will be able to recognize that each developer has room to grow. And I think we're really, really lucky at SEEK that our work-life balance is really, really good, and that our managers are really supportive of that. Mental health is really important, and you should not be burning yourself out just to try and reach a certain title.
What about you, Will? How are you? How's your work-life balance?
Yeah, it's not too bad. I actually find when I was when I was starting out, and I came through a pathway of self-learning. I didn't go to uni or anything like that. So I feel like when I was starting out, I feel like I worked myself a lot more back then. But I also find work-life balance is exactly that, a balance. Sometimes in life you have more time to put to work. Sometimes, typically later in life, you have more life, right? You have a family and stuff. So that balance is always shifting and changing. And when I was younger, I was able to commit more time into work and learning and doing all that. And that kind of became a part of my life, because I really wanted to get into engineering and become, a senior at some point. Now that I kind of have hit that level and I know where I want to go next in my journey, I'm able to understand that juggling, deadlines, mentoring, projects and all that stuff, it is like juggling knives, and sometimes things do get dropped, and I can kind of mentally prepare myself and see there's a deadline coming. I know I'm not going to be able to, maybe go to gym or stuff as often, and I can balance that. I think the only thing that differs between, really now and being a junior was that I can see that coming, and I can prepare, and I can make that balance. Whereas, when I was younger, I guess I had more time to really focus on some of these things a little bit more. There was less I had to juggle and balance.
I think that sums it up really well, is that as you get more senior, you kind of have more life to deal with. So I think definitely as people progress through their careers, it may seem like the seniors have a better work-life balance, but it also may be that the seniors have hit a point where they have enough experience under their belt to know that I'm going to stop now, that it's X o'clock.
I like it. I feel like we were very aligned on that one. That was a good one. Moving on to, we've only got a couple more left. I think we only have two more. This is the second last one. Expectation. Once I become a senior, I will lead big projects, have big impact, and tell others what to do. This kind of covers a little bit of what we talked about earlier, I think, kind of blends in.
I think as we gain more experience, when I pick up a card now, I often ask the question, why and, what context of this card is, rather than just go and do it, those kind of things. I think through it a bit more of like the impact of customers maybe, or impact of maybe another developer, another software engineer who's coming into the code. Like if I were to do it this way, just balancing that out. Whereas maybe when I was more junior, I'd probably just think about, what do I do? Can somebody tell me, what do I type?
And I think maybe I should put this one, because this one kind of covers the other things we had. But the reality of this one in this article says, the reality is I miss the times when people told me what to do. And I think maybe that's an easier thing to talk about because, even if you become a senior or even a manager and stuff like that, you are perhaps sometimes leading and mentoring people. But I certainly have days where I just want to pick up a card and someone just tell me what to do. I don't really want to work those mentoring muscles or today. I want a day for me to code, to do what I really love to do. And a lot of that is just problem solving and coding.
Yeah. Those can be pretty great days when you just pick up work and smash it out. And it's like the card has all the info you need. You don't have to think. All you have to do is, and I say think because, it's, second nature sometimes when you're doing some code. You're like, go and add X, Y feature to Y page. And you're like, you've done it a million times. It's fine. But there is also something really satisfying about just smashing out those smaller tasks and no think tasks. So,
and I think, particularly when you do, I guess, become senior or even management roles, but definitely talking with people and leading people and sharing your experience is a part of it. Like we all kind of have to. I feel like that is a part of the role. Yeah, I don't know. You will miss the days when you might not want to do that always.
Yeah, funny you said mentoring and answering questions. I mean, I find that as you gain more experience, you're becoming the expert, and people come and ask you questions more, and you end up not wasting time, but you end up using more time to communicate with other people. Whereas a junior, you may be given a task, and then and that's it. That's all you do for the day.
I think I see what you mean, because I think I felt that too. That like when I was junior, I kind of wish I was senior, so people would come to me. Like I want to be the people come to ask questions, but that was also me just being like, I want to boss people around, I guess. And even now, further down the line, I'm like, that's not the way to be. I certainly want to teach people. I love teaching people, but it's certainly not the boss people. I don't want to be the superior, even though the title technically is senior developer. There's always that we sit on equal playing fields. It's definitely a mentality that I had of wanting people to come to me. Yeah, let's move on. I don't think there's too much to add to that one. We've kind of covered a lot of the bases there. So let's move on to the very last one. The expectation is once I become senior, they won't be able to lay me off.
Oh, wow.
That one's a bit spicy, that one. Yeah, what do you guys think?
I mean, looking at the last 18 months in terms of tech, I think there are quite a lot of senior developers who have lost their jobs. Just across the tech sector for a number of different reasons.
I know the gaming industry has had a big, engineering loss, and a lot of companies. I mean, it's unfortunate.
Twitter, Amazon, Google, Facebook, Meta, there have been a lot of senior positions that have gone. So I don't think, unfortunately, you can say once you get to senior, your job is now safe. And if your attitude is, I need to hoard knowledge to make my job safe, that means you're probably not in a great culture. It probably means that you don't have a great attitude towards becoming senior and this and that.
Raf, I know because you came through the grad program. I'm curious what your thoughts on that is. As someone who literally started here as a grad, did you feel like you were more expendable as a grad?
Not at all. my experience is that everyone's very welcoming and open to teaching, and it's been a great experience. And I think that's kind of how I got molded into like a teaching mentality. I don't hoard, knowledge, because I feel like by spreading that kind of culture, it kind of impedes you from growing as well as others, right? I mean, and if you're not growing, like how hireable are you in other places? So yeah, sure, you might not be laid off, but I mean, you're not growing at all. What fun is that?
Yeah, having been in the podcast with Scott, talking about the grad program, like I find that he was very much pushing that the grad program is all about building long-lasting developers who are committed to the company, know the domain, and just like, I feel like it's very much the opposite. You're not irreplaceable. You're someone who we want to build up. We want to mold to make you someone who is irreplaceable.
I think really the really good companies, they want to hold on to their talent. And I don't really think any company out there goes, I want to fire people. Like, that usually means something bad has happened, right?
It's probably good for you then. Look for other opportunities instead.
And I think as well, like, even when you are, like, if I'm thinking of like irreplaceability and like where does that come from? Perhaps is it the feeling like if I make a mistake, they're going to fire me? Because that's certainly not the case, particularly when you're junior or anything like that. Like you're expected to make mistakes. You're expected to fail safely. And I've certainly heard stories on the internet of people starting a new job and taking down prod and stuff like that. And people aren't getting fired over that stuff, regardless of whether you're a junior or a senior. If anything, if you're a senior, you're expected perhaps not to be doing those things. You know better. But when you're a junior, there's certainly not more like... You're not held to a higher standard like you're going to be replaced. Like Elliott said, companies aren't looking to replace people. They want to hold on to them and they want to grow them.
That was a really interesting point though, Will, the idea about being worried about breaking something or making mistakes. And I think that's a misconception that we haven't talked about, is that the misconception that seniors don't make mistakes. Mm-hmm. Because seniors absolutely make mistakes. Seniors bring down production. The only way they got to become seniors is by making a stack of mistakes and knowing, hey, don't do that.
That's the key, right? Learning from it. I mean, it's not the amount of mistakes, it's learning from it and getting better from it.
Yeah, I think it's something that this article kind of touches on is like just like being the one developer who knows how to code in a language, like that's so old that no one else knows how to code in that language, but it's still used in company, doesn't necessarily give you an edge and make you irreplaceable. I love it. Well, that was our topic. That was really interesting. Did you guys have any learnings or anything you wanted to kind of round this out with?
Like it's relatable, right? I mean, I've been through the journey and I can see it. And yes, some of the points are just blatantly not correct.
Yeah.
But yes, definitely been through it and love it and still enjoying breaking stuff, right?
Well,
move fast and break things. Always fun.
Yep. Try not to break things.
We try not to. I mean, it's not about the breaking. It's how quickly can one recover from a breakage.
There you go. That's your learning that you learn from your breakings, right?
And that was SEEK Bytes. We will catch you next time.